There we go. All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Slam Nest podcast. I'm your host, Superhero Joe, joined today by some very special guests, East of Eden. What's up, boys? How are y'all? All right, let's get some good intros in. How who's who? There's a lot of y'all on screen.
I'm the drummer for this band. My name is Jacob Thomas, Llewellyn Cox.
Good one. My name's Chance. I'm the lead vocalist. I'm Anthony Johnson. I'm the lead guitarist, backing vocalist, and then I arrange our orchestral elements.
I'm Derek Alanis. I play rhythm guitar.
I'm Jack, and I do keys.
I'm Landon Comlin. I play bass.
Let's go. That's everybody. All right, so I'm gonna do my best to try to remember the names and do everything I can.
You're good. It's a lot of people.
Super excited to have you guys on the pod. For those of you who are listening and realize it's just me doing this interview this time. I had some plans to have some people on here to help me with this, but it'd be your own folks sometimes. You can't count on nobody. No. I had the pleasure of getting to see you guys live. I want to say it was like maybe 2 weeks ago. I've had y'all on my radar for a while. The usual degenerate that's usually around me at shows, MARSHAL, the one that you guys met as well. He's the one who put me on you guys, showed me some of y'all stuff, and then I kind of fell down the rabbit hole and got sucked into the new EP. The timing was just perfect, more or less. So I got a really good introduction to you guys, and then to be honest, and I don't want to lie to you guys, I was only there to see you and Vermin Fate. And I've got good friends in Divisive. I'm really good friends with Nick and Columbus, their guitarist and vocalist. And I love them. They know I'm gonna come see them regardless. But I was really excited to see y'all and Vermin Fate. I hadn't seen or heard anything from Breaking and Entering, but I got lucky enough to see you guys. And we talked about it on our last week's episode because I was kind of doing like a little hype episode, kind of like to let everyone know what the plans were gonna be. And I talked about it with my other co-host, and I was like, dude, usually when you go see a band or when you go to a show, the openers are like, like it's the opener, it's some, local band, whatever. Cool, right? Like, I'm just gonna go grab a beer at the bar. I didn't have that expectation at all. I kind of knew I was gonna get a little something crazy. I didn't expect to be blown away the way I was, and I believe I hyped you guys up all night too. Whenever y'all bumped into me, drunkenly. So I was really excited. I was really blown away by the actual presence you guys bring. I love the fact that you guys are as big as you are, like, group wise, like you have so many members, and it's so fun to see everything working like a well-oiled machine. It's so cool to see just things come together, especially if, like, this is, to be honest, like I'm a beatdown person. I like beatdown metal. I listen to punk every now and then. I like slam, stuff like that. Like, so, like, in this, like, tech, like, what would you classify yourself as? Would you say it's like death metal or black metal?
It's quite a vast range. The best way I've heard anyone ever put it is we just kind of go based off of our Metal Archives page, and it says that we're technical death metal, but I'd say it's also in a mix of deathcore, black metal, and melodeath. Mm-hmm. All three of them kind of meshed. We kind of spread it out throughout our songs. I'd say the two overarching subgenres are going to be technical death metal and deathcore, but we definitely wear our influences on our sleeve, like outside of that. Like me and Jack and Jacob, we all like a good bit of black metal. We like putting that in there. I'm a big melodic death metal guy. You can really see that in the song "In the Nighttime's Abyss," which
current favorite, by the way.
But no, and then all the angry caveman gore riffs. Those are all courtesy of Derek here, who's the big metalcore guy, and I don't know, it's pretty incredible just how we're able to make like kind of two very different approaches work so well between how me and Derek write.
Right.
Yeah,
I find it really cool that like I can't put a name to it. I can't put a label on you guys, which is some of the big bands that are out now. Like, I mean, obviously you could probably put some labels on some of them, but like there are a few bands that probably started, first album or first EP or whatever, to where you're really like, I can't think of someone else that sounds like this. And that's like a really good compliment in my eyes. At least if I was in a band, I would want somebody to be like, who are you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, leave you with asking some questions because you want the audience to kind of be, you don't want them to just label you that quick and just be like, oh, okay, it's just this kind of band. I really enjoyed that y'all's had so much to offer, and you can kind of hear each. Is it Jack? Jack, you're the one that's on keys, correct?
Yeah.
I told Chance like 1,000 times, and I was like, dude, you were getting it that night. I just watched you just hammer the keys, and I was like, this is fucking rad. I had a great time with that.
Yeah, Jack's a blessing, man. And they're like the most recent addition, too. So it's kind of just like a 6-member. It's like made this big impact with us. And we've been able to diversify our sound like a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We actually brought Jack on about when we were about
We're almost done with the
Three-fourths
EP.
done.
about
pretty
3/4
much.
done with the EP. So I'd say. And we just said, look, here are the songs. Let's practice with you on them and see what you can come up with. And Jack went in, laid down some keys on the EP, and it just added another dimension to the overall sound.
I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it brought the sound in general because it always felt like we're missing something.
A little flat. It was a little flat before.
I think the gray matter course always felt
Yeah.
flat, and we always thought we were missing something, and we could never nail it down until we like came up with the idea, and we were like, we need to bring Jack in.
Or see it.
And part of it too,
I was pushing for it.
Jack was also able to do some of the things live that I would arrange using, VSTs like virtual instruments or whatever that you will hear on the EP. And Jack's been able to take what I did there and then expand even further on that too. So just having that extra atmosphere, I think that was what really helped, I guess, push our sound to the exact point that it's at.
You could, and like for me personally, I never judge a band off like albums or EPs or whatever, or singles. I never try to judge a band off that. If I get the chance to, like, the full experience for me is like you listen to a song that, maybe randomly pops up on a playlist, and then you're like, oh, I want to look into this band. And then you go and you get lost in their discography, and it's awesome. And then the full circle moment is when you get a chance to see them live, because I've been to shows before where bands sound like nothing like they do on like their album, or the vocalist doesn't sound right, or the guitar doesn't sound right, and you don't really feel like it hits the same. But that full circle moment when you see a band live and you're like, this is exactly how I pictured it, or it's exactly how I want to hear it. And it was very you don't get to see that often with some bands. But before we get into the some more nerdy questions that I have, I wanted to ask like how this all started, like where you guys met up. Have y'all been friends forever? I know y'all just added Jack, but has this always been something you guys have wanted to work on? Like, what was the roots of this?
I'm gonna let Jacob explain this one because it started from like a long beginning.
Yeah,
For sure.
that was sorry. This is definitely a me and Landon thing. So that's me and the bass player. I'm the drummer, obviously. So we were outside your house, and I was like, bro, we should start a band, dude.
That's how it always starts.
I was like, we didn't even know what genre we were going to be, really. It was just fucking right.
Yeah, Landon liked hair metal at the time.
Yeah, I would make on glam metal, so I was playing glam
Respect.
metal. And Jacob liked thrash metal at the time.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing thrash for like 3 months. We had another guitarist who plays in Kill Command now as a bass player, Joss. We went with that for a little bit. Joss went on Reddit and ended up finding Chance. And
On Reddit?
Yeah. So I'll explain this part. No, this is fantastic because it's like 2 a.m. I'm on the phone with my homie Cody, and then I get a random notification on Reddit, a comment. Yeah, basically what it was I got this comment on Reddit when I was trying to look for people to jam with back when I was like 15, 16, and now this is pretty much a year and a couple months ago. I'm now 19, and I get this text from this random dude saying like, hey, are you still looking for a band, man? And I'm like, yeah, sure, because I hadn't really had anything going on at the time band-wise. And he asked me, like, yo, where do you stay? And I told him where I stayed, and turns out we were like 10 minutes away from each other. So
Wow.
So literally the next, like probably about 8 hours later, I go to sleep, I wake up, I pull up to his garage where Jacob and Landon are, and we get to jamming. And it was interesting at first because we got the two thrash heads who kind of like death metal, the deathcore vocalist, and then the pure thrash metal guitarist trying to figure something out. And that was kind of a rougher period where we didn't know what we wanted to do. Like, we all kind of had a different idea.
Everything was just kind of clashing.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was like the number one problem. But I mean, Landon, you can probably agree. It was around like this time a year ago.
Yeah, this time a year ago, that's when it really, like, we kind of, started working with Chance, like right when we met Chance. And we kind of, me and Jacob and Chance fully moved to the idea of wanting to do something, death metal, deathcore, whatever. And John was fully for it at the time. So we noticed, our, interest in music kind of separated a little bit from what we wanted to do. So, Joss ended up moving over to Kill Command. And then we later on actually worked with Anthony, me and Chance at
My house.
Yeah, we worked at Slim Chickens, and we met Anthony there, and we started, playing, practice session with Anthony, and went, amazing, way better than anything we were doing before.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out between thrash and death metal. And then later on, we met Derek, trying out for bass player, and then they sent him our way. And then everything just worked out really well. And, later down the line, of course, we met Jack, and then just tied the big six together here.
Yeah, and the funny thing about bringing Derek on too, so he actually went to high school and was good friends with my brother.
Oh, yeah.
So whenever they told us, it's like, yeah, we got this rhythm guitarist that we're going to try out, and his name's Derek. He has a red mohawk. I'm not thinking anything of it or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm like taking a shower after work. And I'm like, wait a minute. My brother had a friend in high school who played guitar, had a red mohawk. It's probably.
Yep.
And guess what? It was.
I love how that just all kind of blended together. Like as far as how everything just kind of came together with how you guys met. At least that's how it sounds. Like Reddit, high school, all these things. Like it was meant to be.
Yeah,
So-
I'm going to say this too. So I've played in several different bands. This is the first one that I've seen actual, serious chemistry between the entire band.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a single expendable member in the band. I don't see our sound being anything like it is without anyone who's sitting here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something I've seen with some of the other bands I've been in. And I think part of it, one, it's a similar mindset between everybody, but even more so, I think everybody just has that drive to actually create something. And we all find ways to work on each other's strengths as well as our own strengths in order to make that happen.
Right. So what do you guys find? Because obviously you guys found something of a genre essentially, to where you're like, okay, this is where we want to be, and you guys came up with your own sounds. Do you guys have a plan as far as where you want to take your sounds? Like some bands I've talked to, like when we talked to Abbey Falls, for example, their plan was, it was during the pandemic, so their plan was like, hey, the minute doors start opening, we want to play every show we can. We want to hop on, and thank goodness, good for them. They're on festivals. They're really pushing that boundary of just playing live as much as they can. They released a new album, I believe, but their goal was to play live and to travel and tour. That's what they wanted to do. Do you guys, and especially in this space too, where I feel like tech death and stuff like that isn't as sought after. It's almost a very niche subgenre essentially, to where where do you guys want to take it? Where you want to open the doors for you? Like how's the band gonna evolve within another year?
All right, so I know for right now, what we're focusing on is writing our first album, and kind of just moving out of the local scene, trying to expand to other states and play local shows there.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, touring, obviously, we would love to do that, but right now the main focus is just slowly getting a start.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I always like to ask that just because there are some bands that want to blow up immediately, and you'll see them doing everything to kind of get likes. I mean, we talked a little bit about it at the show, to where I was, telling you guys, man, hey, push for more on social media. This genre needs a lot more love, and it needs a lot more, output. And to hear you guys are working on the album, because I again love this EP. to hear you guys are already kind of in the process of doing something with an album and moving forward with that is really incredible. And, you know, hopefully with, you know, within that time period, let's say, you know, another year or so, you guys have the album ready. Hopefully within that time period too, you're all doing all those things like going to Nashville, hitting some shows, going to Kentucky, going to Arkansas. Because this whole Southern scene, I will say, is unlike anything else I've seen. Because I've been to Chicago scene, I've been to Louisiana's scene, and they're all kind of mid, but like this like little like Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Arkansas, this whole like Southern metal is just fucking crazy. So I would love to see you guys do some more stuff too, and you know I'll be there. I'm a fangirl.
Right now we're just trying to get in, because relatively we're all pretty new to like playing shows live and actually traveling around. So we're currently just looking for connects, and with our EP being still pretty new, we're still able to promote it live, which gets people. I know a lot of people, they'll see a band play and they'll be like, I mean, the songs are good, but when I check them out, they haven't released anything since 2015.
Yeah.
And they kind of, you know, maybe get swayed away by that if they don't already want to dive into the discography. But since we're, you know, at a newer phase of the band, we're just kind of trying to get those like important little DNA building blocks just up as much as we can, getting to know people around the scene that can lead us out of the scene into those you were mentioning.
I mean, we've only played like 6.
Yeah, we've literally played like.
That was my next question. How many of y'all played? About 6, and y'all got another one coming up here soon.
Yeah, we have one coming up. The day this comes out, I think, if you're living in Memphis and this comes out before 6 p.m., hey, come to Growlers. We'll be playing with Kill Command and Kamikaze Zombie if you're seeing this in time.
I will try to get it out. Usually my release schedule is every Wednesday around like noon, so it should be out by then. I hopefully I can. All the pieces fall in place. Sometimes it'll be like Thursday, but most of the time I can get them out on Wednesday.
Cool.
So my follow-up, I'm gonna go ahead and who was supposed to be my co-host, my buddy Joey. He's a big fan of you know, black metal, melodic style, and tech death like bands. This is his question is let's see, because he did say I want to ask him about their influences, and I think they might say something like Melodic Death, because he did a lot of research on you guys too beforehand. Because I was like, hey, you gotta listen to this band. But he said, I think they use keys in their songs, so I'm wondering what was the inspiration behind venturing into more melodic, symphonic, more of a melodic and symphonic aspect.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's Anthony.
So that's the type of stuff I already was really familiar with. That's my favorite type of music. I listen to a lot of bands like Winter Sun, Wilderun, Aether Realm, all those. I guess. Either Finnish Melodeath or, you know, Finnish inspired Melodeath that has a lot of that, those symphonic elements, that has a lot of that influence from, you know, your melodic metal, like heavy metal and power metal, but it still has, you know, some of your influences from death metal and even black metal mixed in.
He brings up Black Dahlia Murder in this text he sent me, and he also wanted me to shout out and say rest in peace, Trev. But he did bring up Black Dahlia Murder. He noticed some similarities there. Was that a band that you guys kind of looked into a little bit too?
For me, I used to listen to them a good bit. I haven't listened to them a lot recently. Eric does like a good bit of their stuff.
I've been delving deep into their stuff recently. Same with Shadow. I would say they're really big inspiration on all of us. But there's definitely a lot of inspiration from that whole scene, Black Dahlia Murder.
It all kind of branches out and interconnects. Anything that we can kind of individually say we like, we can branch it to something else that somebody else likes.
Right.
And that's find a way to bridge the gaps in our sound and become so unique too. So,
absolutely.
I mean, a lot of the newer stuff that's come out, because that was our generation growing up. You know.
Yeah, for sure. He also, his last little tidbit here is he said, I wonder who they recorded with, because for a band of young dudes like this, let's be real, they sound very tight. Curious to know who mixed their shit.
So we actually went to this local producer in Bartlett, this guy named Ryan Olson. He's currently working with Kill Command right now. Actually, they're recording their stuff.
I think I know Ryan.
Really?
I feel like if I'm having trouble with the name, but I know the name, but I feel like if I saw his face, I'd be like, oh, what's up, Ryan? Good to see you. Like, you know what I mean? Because I've seen so many people. But that name sounds so familiar.
He tries to make himself known in, I guess, the general Memphis music scene. He's kind of more of like a hybrid producer. He does like instrumentalist stuff and like rap artists primarily. That's where a lot of his business. But we went to him because he was kind of at the time we were trying to record. He gave us, you know, the best space that we could just pull up to and get our stuff going. And we spent about 2 months doing weekend sessions with him. And yeah, we knocked out the 4 songs within that time.
Wow.
And yeah, what's funny about it though is, as we actually kind of tinkered up a lot of our heavier influences, or I guess our heavier kind of approach in the studio. Like for example, I'll admit the final breakdown in Scriptures Asunder? Yeah, the final breakdown in Scriptures Asunder was just written in the studio because we had a different breakdown that we had written for it. We were like, wait, this sucks. And we went for something different that we had come up with, and we were really happy with it. So yeah, props to Ryan for, you know, at least letting us be adaptable while recording.
Absolutely.
That's something I enjoyed. Yeah,
so,
he was cool to work with.
I can tell by the mix just in general, because again, Joey is he's one of the biggest critics I know, just as far as music goes. He's very analytical. He's very cryptic. So it may not mean nothing to y'all, but to me, I'm like, damn, if he really enjoyed it and really likes what he heard, I'm like, okay, cool. He approves, because I don't want to say his age on the podcast. He's a older gentleman to where he's like been around the block and back. He used to play in some smaller like bands back in the day, and back out in Tupelo and stuff like that. So he's been around the block and back as far as the scene goes. And for him to be as what's the word? I'm blanking on the word. For him to appreciate the music so much is like, oh shit. At least on my end. It may not mean nothing to you guys, which is fine. But
you know, positive feedback we'll take. Yeah. You know,
I honestly don't think I have any, like, you know, critical feedback. I think the only thing that we talked about when we were at the show was, you know, like, hey, let's get you guys out there more. Which we already kind of had that whole spiel. But as far as like sound, and as much as I've listened to, like I play a lot of video games, right? So I was playing Destiny today, and I just blasted this EP all day while I was playing Destiny, which is it's good, easy listening, and that might come off weird, but like I like good background noise. And like when it's metal and like you can get into a rhythm, you're like killing shit on the beat. It's fucking great. Anyway, so my next question that I wanted to ask, speaking of writing, so do you guys, when we interviewed Dead Vectors, Kenny and I forgot, I'm blanking on the other dude. Shit, I'm sorry. Kenny never did any of the writing. He just did all the vocals, and then his partner was the one that did all the writing. Do you guys have something similar? Does somebody say, hey, I have everything I want to write, I know what I want to do, and then everybody else follows suit, or is it a collaborative effort? It's different for everybody.
Pretty much a collaborative.
It's pretty much collaborative.
There are some songs to where one person will take the reins and write more of it, or most of it, but for the most part, it's collaborative. Yeah,
awesome.
We all have
usually, the most part with how we write it is it'll start with a riff or you know, a clean intro or a bass line or something, and then everybody will chime in. Like I'll be playing some riff or whatever, and Jared will be like, oh, this would sound cool like right after, and he'll come up with something. And that's how we've written, I think, most of our work. Either that or it's just like start off as improvised jam sessions, and then we kept like the strong points and changed it into a song. That's how we wrote Gray Matter Wandering.
So well, I guess my follow-up to that is like, when it comes to that, does it take a long, so like the EP has 4 songs, granted 4 amazing songs, but do you guys have some throwaways? Did you know you wanted to do 4 songs when you were going through the writing process?
We had one throwaway song that we played once, and the only reason why we wrote the song is because we got a offer from Kill Command to play our first ever show at Hightown, but we didn't have all our material ready yet. So
3 weeks after we started.
3 weeks after we started. So we cranked out this one song, and it was just not up to scratch.
No,
It was
yeah.
loose. It didn't know the direction of it while we were playing it.
It was to get set time.
It was for set time. What's funny though is like after that though we scrapped that, and that's kind of what led to Redefine Humankind being made, which everyone seems.
Yeah,
It's a banger.
Yeah. Here.
What a way to close out the EP, by the way. That motherfucker is amazing. So, I guess in regards to that too. So when you guys have a song together, while we're on the subject, how long does it take to get that one song together? Because I know with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 band members, I imagine there's a lot of like phone tag or butting heads on maybe some parts. Like, how long does it take to get one song done?
What's crazy is really there's not many times ever where we butt heads on stuff. Usually we just hear something, we're like, that's cool, let's just keep doing that, maybe tweak it a little bit to how we like. It's kind of how we do.
I think though it was a bit different because when we were doing Vast Death at first, half of us really loved it, and then half of us were just like, okay, we kind of got to like change some things around. Because at first, Vast Death isn't released yet. Obviously, it's a song we played at our last show, our last 2 shows, and it's 8 minutes long now. Okay, it was long, and at first we weren't sure how to feel about the other 3 minutes of it being long. And then we changed some things around, and it became something we all just loved.
Yeah, right. On the play.
I think one of the things too is I think all of us are, again, I think we have that chemistry where we can all listen to something and pretty much all agree when something sounds good or doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
And I think we're also pretty good at like looking at something saying, okay, this riff doesn't really fit well in this song. We can still hold on to it and use it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then I'm in a situation where I also have 3 other bands that I'm working
I remember.
One of them's a solo project I'm working on, so it's like, if I come up with something that doesn't really work here, I got another project I can use.
Right.
Because actually what happened with those last few minutes of Vast Death. I'm going to be using that on the solo project that I'm working on.
Because I imagine like with this many heads, like there would be a little bit of like, no, I don't like how this sounds, or I don't, know where this would fit in. But Jack, with you doing keys, I think because it's not, I don't want to say it's not traditional because there's a lot of bands that do this kind of thing to a certain degree, but like in this style, it's not something that you expect in like a guitar, bass, drum, vocalist. How did you go about the process of fitting keys in here? Did you know where you wanted to go with this immediately? Did you know? Like, okay, they want me to be in this band. This is how I can bring some kind of heat. Because again, you have to be there to see this. Like, Jack will fucking kill it on the keys. It was my favorite thing.
Okay, this shit's funny. Okay, so I get a text from this motherfucker one night, just ran. You, yeah. What's up, my friend? So let's put some. We were thinking about something about like we want keys, and I was like, bet. So this is the story of how I joined. Or I'd known them before. Funny story, I didn't even know these people until I went, and I wasn't even gonna go to this show. I showed up. I get a call from one of my friends like 30 minutes before doors saying, "Hey, pull up to the show," and I was like, "I'm not doing anything tonight, bet." So
Sure.
I pull up to the show, and they're opening, and I'm like, "Oh, that's sick." And then we talk, and then I become friends with them. And then in October, I get the text about the keys. I show up to practice with like my brother's $250 like Black Friday keyboard because I didn't have a professional keyboard at the time. And I'm like trying, but then like 3 days later or something, I go to Guitar Center and buy a Phantom 08. And then 2 days after that, I pull up and I improv all of my parts in the studio.
Wow.
On that EP in the studio.
That's incredible.
What did help is I did work with him at least a little bit on at least understanding the structure of the song.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he went in completely blind.
No.
Yeah, but
I remember I still have memories of setting up my keyboard, and there was a couch behind me.
Yeah, and a laptop on his
Yeah,
lap.
so I had like a laptop on my lap. I was playing the keys like this, and I was looking behind me asking Anthony, like, what's the chords? What are the chords?
Oh, man, that's incredible.
So I'm sitting down and I'm like, this is all muscle memory for me. Like, I'm like, all right, okay, that's a this note, this note, this note, and this note. Try. That's okay. That's this chord.
Yeah.
Now play it however you want. And it just kind of built up like that. And no, that's how we ended up. That's how we ended up getting those keys on there, and it just ended up working out really well.
So that's how the keys happen for the EP, but for a new Johns, it's honestly deciding, because I'm using a workstation keyboard, not a synthesizer keyboard.
Right.
So I have thousands of options of sounds. And on that keyboard, I can do splits and I can do custom chains. I can also create custom sounds and stuff. So fitting keys into extreme metal is it's really just about finding the correct sound, or what sounds the best.
Wow.
And also, yeah, it's mainly about what'll sit in the right. Yeah, Anthony was right. It's mainly about what sits in the mix right, and also figuring out if you want to take an ambient lead or if you want to play the riff as well, or if you harmonies to the riff or whatnot. Because honestly, because it is more unconventional, there are less rules for it.
Yeah.
We also like, I think we've put a little bit of fun, or we want to have a little bit of creative freedom on that for Jack. And like one of the things that we want to do is we want to incorporate stuff that you won't really expect. Maybe like a honky tonk type of piano line, like thrown in the middle of something just stupid heavy.
Yeah.
Because why not? Like
Why not?
It would be something different. We could find a way to make it sound cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
It
So
helps push us.
It does.
For sure.
And Jack has a wide variety if they want to dip into the lead section or the rhythm section. Yeah, so
Mhm.
It makes you do whatever you want on top of our stuff.
they have so much room to work around, and like Anthony said, it gives them a lot of
It's like the
like
sprinkles.
Yeah.
Mm. Jack, are you like classically trained in a sense when it comes to piano, or like did you recently learn how to? Because I've had a few friends that took piano lessons when they were kids, blah blah blah, and then it eventually evolved into something else. Did you come from that kind of background, or did you learn keys like in your teens? Like, how did that go? How did you get into this position, essentially?
Okay, so I'm actually classically trained on saxophone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Throw that in there. No,
Hey, we're talking about
We're
it.
thinking about it.
I love when that happens. I love a little crazy surprise like that. Just, is that a sax?
So I'm classically trained on saxophone, but I migrated towards keys whenever I was maybe 14, and I taught myself for a bit. I taught myself enough to where I knew where everything was, and I could play songs, and then I quit, and then I basically fully went to keys, and I started taking piano lessons with somebody that I've known for a long time, and I did that for maybe a year, but they were unconventional piano lessons because I had already had a foot in music theory, and I was already a trained musician, so I guess my lessons and like me learning keys was mainly just me on my own. The teacher would just help me on whatever I was working on at the time. So that's how I learned keys. I also other instruments as well, but
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
That's how I my key footing.
I was curious because, like I said, I know a few people that do keys and stuff like that, and they learned like in their later teens, or they learned like as a kid. And I was just really curious to see how you were like, okay, I can fit this in here with this style and make it my own, and have that creative freedom like you do in some of these songs. I want to switch to our bass player and drummer. So I often find because I listen to a lot I grew up on like Southern hip hop, like 3 6 Mafia, stuff like that. I grew up on that. I grew up on new metal, just like a lot of us did to a certain degree. And I often find the pattern of bass player and drummer pretty similar as far as wavelength, like as far as where you want the song to go, as far as pacing, as far as energy, things like that. Am I right to say that both of you guys probably have that same kind of connection when it comes to how your songs go, at least on the EP? I feel like you guys are on the same, I don't want to say beat, because obviously, but you know what I mean? Like, as far as, I don't know, I feel like I get the right amount of heaviness from the bass, and then I get this kind of like heart pounding, experience with the drums. Would you guys say that y'all really tried to, would you say that there was some kind of like chemistry there in that sense when y'all were writing?
I would say yes.
I would say to a big degree, yeah.
To a big degree, because whenever me and Landon first started, we were just sitting there, me and him in my room. None of the band really was even started yet, and we just sit there and practice. Just being in pocket, like him being in pocket with me and whatnot, and just building stuff off of drums. And we tighten that up a lot. So me and him are really tight together in general. So whenever we started our creative process, and we kind of got into the same things, same time, so things were pretty easy as far as writing stuff.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Because I saw you guys share looks and stuff during the live show, and I was like, oh yeah, they're running this thing.
I was
Best friend,
since 7 years.
Oh, my bad.
It's family, or we're
Hell
just basically family.
And then the last couple of questions I have for you guys, I want to talk strictly on the EP for the last 20 minutes I have with you guys. This EP, okay. I love this EP. I think In the Night's Time Abyss is my favorite song, which if you go and look on their Spotify, that's the #1 song in their top as well, which it's amazing. I think I repeated it. It's on my gym playlist too, if I'm not mistaken. It's such a roller coaster of a track, and it's the longest track on the EP with 6 minutes and 27 seconds. And it is phenomenal. It is really well done. You go on this roller coaster. It brings you up, it brings you down. It kind of lets you coast for a minute, and it tears you back down again. It's amazing. The problem I have, it's my only critique, and it's not a negative. I can't figure out the theme of it. Like, I'm trying to, like, usually with some bands, albums, or EPs, you can be like, oh, this is about death. This is about blah, blah, blah. There's something artistic to say in the sense of, like, this EP kind of leaves me wondering. Does that make sense? Like, but yeah. Did you guys have a direction? Like, I want this to be about this, this, and this? Because it does such a good job of just, opening you up.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
It's a damn question right here. Because when it comes to, like, what the EP is about, when it comes to the music, all them. But lyrically and thematically, for the EP, that was basically me leading the charge for that. And all songs tie in together into one concept. And I wish I had more than like a couple minutes to explain it, because I can
take your time. It's okay.
I'll tell you right now. Basically, I'll go song by song. Okay, so starting from track 1, Gray Matter Wandering. That song is about a protagonist. Basically, the EP surrounds itself around this cult, this made-up cult that worships the sun. And one of their staples is, upon abandoning their faith, the one who is to abandon their faith is to die. Blah, 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 cultist shit. And basically what has happened in the EP is everyone has basically decided to abandon their faith because they've woken up and realized that worshiping the sun's not really a good idea. But with that staple being applied, they're all sent to die. Because they're all under one big kind of cultish rule, and there's, a hierarchy with someone at the top, and they're the only one who's going to be left by the end of it. But the thing is in Gray Matter Wandering, the protagonist realizes this and is contemplating suicide as to not just be killed later on by, these evil cult members. And Scriptures Asunder, the song that comes after that, directly describes not the aftermath, but the unfolding of that, like, mass genocide. That's what the song's about. So you could say the first half of the EP is just about suicide and homicide.
Wow.
The duality. And then In the Nighttime's Abyss is basically a reflection upon a single survivor of the genocide, someone who didn't die but is surrounded by a sea of corpses. And it's basically a new protagonist, their reflection upon that. And then Redefined Humankind is basically kind of the curtailing of it. Basically, okay, I'm the last one left alive here. What am I going to do about it? what steps am I going to take to basically rebuild humanity, which redefine humankind is pretty laid out in the title.
I would watch this movie 100%. I would watch that movie in a heartbeat.
Hey, no, filmmaker. Yeah, we'll make a lore book. I spent like hours in my room just jotting all sorts of story jargon down. That's probably going to go on the album.
I love that because like when I listened to Gray Matter, it had this sense of this sense of being uncomfortable. The first like listen of it. Like, cause I think the experience you have when you watch, you watch a live show, obviously you're so excited and enthralled with the energy in the room and you're going off everyone's energy. But when you have like some big ass headphones on and you're listening to something track by track, depending on what you're doing, you can really start to kind of, wander. Like when I was, I don't want to say, when I was like, I'm 28. Fuck it, I'm not that old yet. When I was like in my early 20s though, my favorite thing would be like I would take like acid or something and I would sit in my room and just fucking listen to music and just let whatever happened and I would just get lost in it. And that's kind of what Gray Matter made me feel like. It made me feel like I didn't know what was going to happen and that made me uncomfortable and it had this like sense of almost impending doom, if you will. And then Scriptures almost kind of left me, I don't want to say sad, but kind of left this like sorrow kind of vibe. Like I just felt not sad, but like not happy. You know what I mean? It was very in the middle. And then Nighttime's Abyss just kind of had this like uproar for me that had this crazy energy that I just loved. And then Redefine, of course, had this like almost like you said, like happy, and I wouldn't say happy, but like this almost like somber kind of end. Yeah, there was a resolution to it. And it's really cool because you have 4 songs on this EP and they tell more of a story on their own than they ever could, compared to full albums that people have sometimes. So I really love this EP and I really enjoyed what I listened to. And like I said, it's been on a couple of my playlists and it's been something I've had as like just background music when I'm just cleaning the house, stuff like that. It's really well done and you guys did a fantastic job on it. I guess my next question to kind of get ready to somewhat wrap up as well, because I know you guys are probably tired. Y'all just got done from practice. We talked about like what the overall goal is, obviously to get the EP or the album out that you guys want to do. Do you have obviously you guys want to make, do some live shows and stuff as well. But like, what's the next couple of steps for you guys? Is it like we want to knock out a couple songs here? We want to have the album out, and if it's not too pushy, are we looking at like a 6-month timeline, a year? Because you guys are working really fast and really hard, especially if y'all are only been together, a year and a half, if I'm not mistaken, to where y'all got this EP out and as well-rounded as it is, imagine if you guys, now that y'all have the chemistry all down, imagine 6 months from now how much kind of content y'all could put out. It's just, it's exciting as a fan. So, what are y'all's next couple of steps?
Yeah, right now we're basically just focused on getting these songs knocked out. But we kind of learned from the way we wrote our EP to not really set any sort of deadline or quota. We're kind of just taking everything naturally, kind of doing it on our own path while kind of maintaining a set list we can play live anywhere, just in between writing sessions. That's kind of our main thing right now is, we're going to write these songs, but our main thing is to like get what we already have out there live and, just more people to our music. So when we have that stuff ready to release, probably we're hoping to have something out within 6 months, like a single or something. So we're basically just focusing on garnering up groups and groups of people to have our shit hyped up until then.
Absolutely. And a quick side note, my wife loves the t-shirt I got her from you guys. She loves that fucking shirt. I brought home that shirt and a Divisive shirt and she was like, I want that one. And I was like, okay, take my shirt. Right, whatever. I have 2 fun questions I wanted to ask, and they can be pretty fast if you guys want, or if y'all want to go into it, you can. Just for fun, what's the dream show like you guys could play, like you with 3 other bands or something, like I want to know who y'all want to be paired up with, man.
I don't think we should go one by one.
One by one, like
that's fine.
Start with me.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Your dream?
Or let's say your dream, like this show.
I'm just gonna name like 4 bands. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Start with headlining. Got a decapitation. Then I'm gonna go with Shadow.
Yes.
Fucking love Shadows of Intent.
Yeah.
I'm a big Lorna Shore fan, so I'm gonna go with Lorna Shore after that.
Mhm.
One on the same bill since they're kind of similar to a degree. And then, like, obviously, we'll be opening because
Oh, wait, Derek? Yeah, Derek.
Well, he took like all of mine, so
Well, you could use some of them.
it used to be the same drink.
Yeah.
Slaughter to Prevail would probably
That would
be
be
the one.
Fun.
Lorna, Shadow of Intent, and then put Slaughter to Prevail right in there.
Okay.
That is dream for me.
Jack.
No, I know Jack's got some interesting
Can I bring back bands from the dead?
Please, absolutely. I said dream. It ain't got. Let's just make it happen.
Yeah. Okay. So, and this list is not going to make any sense with us on it, but
Let's
I
get
want
it.
to play all of these bands. Dragged into Sunlight, because the only time that they've ever played has been at Maryland Death Fest. Do you know Dragged into Sunlight?
I do because of my friend Joey.
Yeah. They play by only light. They play away facing from the crowd. They're insane. I'm bringing back Acid Bath from the dead.
I don't know Acid Bath, but that sounds sick.
And they're like a sludge death hybrid from the late 90s in like rural Louisiana.
I just found out what sludge was recently. Like I didn't even know sludge was like a genre, and I was like, "Wow, shit! There's this whole other, wow."
And then I got to give some shout out to a local band, Autolith. Would love to play Autolith as well.
Oh yeah, they're awesome.
I don't say yeah.
Hell yeah!
For you?
That's 30. Yeah,
Okay.
Anthony, this is gonna be
Let's get it, Anthony.
I see us like working, on a bill with a variety of different bands just because we have that. Yeah, no, this will be really tough. It's like that's a
You want to come back to You want to come back to last?
No, I think I can come up with one. Kind of thinking in the context of our band, I would say probably Obscura.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that'd be sick.
They're one of my biggest influences. Their current lead guitarist is one of my all-time favorites.
He's nuts, dude.
Yeah, Christian Munster is unreal.
Mm-hmm.
The next one would probably be. I'll actually bypass Winter Sun on this and go with Aether Realm instead as my big melodic death metal pick. And then I'll choose, I guess, a bit of an outlier with this one. I'm going to say the band Obsequiae.
Ooh,
They're
I know about them.
I don't know about them.
They're a medieval black metal band. They're originally from the U.S., but they recently moved out to, I believe, Scotland.
Ooh.
But their stuff is incredible.
Mm.
Now, other band I would love to play a show with, but it just would, ECBN would just be a little bit outside their context, would be probably the band Wilderon. They're my favorite band of all time. That's where a lot of my influence for the symphonic elements come into play.
Yeah.
But their stuff is, I guess, a little bit too prog and a bit too light for.
Yeah, well, mine didn't make no sense.
It's all in good fun.
I'm going to try and diversify it a little bit. I will actually take one of Anthony's cut answers. I'll say Winter Sun, because just thinking about East of Eden on a Winter Sun bill, it does something to my brain that it likes. And then if I had to play with something like that I personally would really want to see us play with, I would say Lauren Shorb. Someone's already said that. I'll probably say, someone's already said this too, but I gotta say Cattle Decapitation. They are like
Goated. I mean, for real.
They are really up there in terms of like how you were saying how we are very diverse and how we do extreme metal. They are kind of in the same vein.
Their
It's
music
kinda
videos scare me, but they're amazing.
I love that shit though. And then I guess the third one, I'll go for an outlier that I don't think anybody expects. I would want to see us play with Victims.
Oh, I love Victims. I fucking love Victims.
Okay.
Don't lie, you love their drummer.
Hey, that drummer.
Didn't you put me on? Yes.
You didn't choose Imperial Circus Death Decadence.
Yeah, but I don't speak Japanese.
So, it goes down to me. Greatest thing ever. It's like I could do like
Slam.
anything. I could do slam, Melodeath, Aphex Twin. Who knows? So I guess I'm gonna go with headliner. Pura. I just love them. They're great.
Mhm.
Same thing as Anthony. Don't care. Great band. Would love to play with them, especially in like Cosmic Genesis era. Specifically, if I could bring back an era, it'd be that one to play with them in. And then Cattle Decapitation,
Mm-hmm.
Monolith era, 100%.
Yeah.
That would be sick.
Elite.
I know everybody knows that one too. Then for a last band, the Cleansing Suicide Silence era.
Yeah,
Around
that
Oh, yeah.
Suicide Silence.
That would be sick.
First album.
Actually, you know what? That makes me want to take out one of my picks. I'm going to take out Victims. I'm going to replace them with Carnifex.
Oh, hell yeah. That would be sick.
Like 2000, like late 2000s.
They put on a mean fucking show. I saw them on a bill with a Power Trip.
Gotta change again. Death.
Death.
yeah,
Oh, era. Death.
Wait.
We gotta do Death.
We gotta bring covers back.
Yeah, we do.
Honestly, also put on Passages of Deformity era Defeated Sanity. Not even because like just because imagine being at that show.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
Just getting paid to be in this.
Yeah.
Like that entire room would just be dead.
Yeah.
One just called out.
I guess,
One mass grave.
I guess I'll bring up one, and this is one that I would love to play a show with, but it would be the weirdest thing ever. There's this Japanese band called Imperial Circus Dead Decadence, and they released probably the single most ridiculous album I've heard last year.
It's stupid.
I'm going to look it up.
Let's get into this, but like they are like insanely talented, and it's blackened Melodeath with some tech death, and then for some reason like J-pop choruses thrown in.
Not mad at it.
They got their primary extreme vocalist is just has some of the most insane technique I've ever heard.
It scares me.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like garbage.
If can listen to it and say, "Man, I'm learning something just by listening to this," doesn't they're doing something right, like really right.
Yeah, because I'll listen to like one song by them. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just try and do this shit that I can't even comprehend that he just did. And I go for it, and I'm like, wait, I haven't even done this ever myself. I just figured something out just by listening to them, And rarely does a band ever, do that. So I got to give them props.
I would almost want to add Tsunami in.
I fuck with Tsunami.
They're not very like big, but like they would be so much fun to play with.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
I definitely. Paleface is another one.
Paleface would be. My buddy just saw Paleface with who did he see him with? With Distant, and I was just like, bruh, I wish I was at that show.
I would 100% have to change my last pick actually. First Fragment. 100% want to be on the tick with First Fragment.
Yes.
They are
This
just
just makes me want to change my last pick.
I'm like 5 picks each.
we got a whole festival here.
No,
Yeah.
serious.
I would go to this festival.
Before we run out of time, is there any other questions before we get like obsessed in this?
I did have one more fun one that I thought would be fun since it's a lot of like 6 of you guys. As a group, and I want this to be like one collaborative answer. If you couldn't play the genre you're playing now, it doesn't have to be metal. It could be hip hop or whatever. What would be the genre you guys would play and why?
If all 6 of us were in a room right now, we said we cannot play death metal, what are we playing?
God.
No.
Say goth.
music. I don't. Ambient music, or we're doing
Glam metal.
no, we're not doing glam metal. Ambient music, or honestly, Misfits cover band.
Oh shit.
Maybe some like Eurofolk.
Eurofolk? No, I don't like Eurofolk. I like American folk.
I like American folk too.
I would have
Hey,
to do
American
pop punk.
Pop punk. That's because you like camping around.
I do.
I agree with you.
That's the thing. I'm sorry for.
And my vocals are amazing for that.
What about atmospheric?
Black metal.
I could see us doing that, but I feel like East Eden already kind of do that.
We already kind of do that, so we can't do. Let's just say no metal.
No metal.
No, black metal bullshit.
I'm loving
Yeah.
this.
We'll say no
Okay,
extreme.
well, yeah, but we're obviously not going to do like Judas Priest, because we like that.
Be Anthony K.
Maybe, but I don't know. I think they are like underestimating the pipes from Rob Halford.
Oh, Rob Halford, yeah, dude,
He's
yeah.
crazy.
Judas Priest stuff, but like I could do some maybe Dio.
Yeah, I was gonna
You
say
could do some Bruce Dickinson here.
Yeah,
I like metal.
That's
I'll-
still metal. That's
Yeah,
pretty
I'm taking
extreme.
metal.
Because if you take somebody in a car and you put on, you like
Post my pick.
post
Hardcore?
No, I'm gonna go
Yes.
with honestly hip hop group. That's my final pick. That would be hilarious. I mean,
We could honestly do some, maybe some.
Can we sound like Beastie Boys and stuff?
not
Mhm.
like me.
Add some like spicy guitar in there, and like you could make it work with some hip hop. You could do it to get a nice little beat.
R&B. Like I'll just do singing and then dance to it. And I don't know what you do, Annie. You'll probably be the producer. Some beats.
Yeah, I can't do any sort of vocal stuff.
Yeah, that would be
For
awesome.
some reason, I can see Jack scratching a disc.
Mine's probably a really generic pick. I'm going to go with prog rock. Prog rock.
Okay.
It's a good.
I do want to be like,
There's already an East Eden prog band.
It's true. From 95.
Jazz fusion.
Some little jazz fusion. I would be down for some jazz.
Awesome.
Hey, Jack knows how to do the sax, bro. Y'all can make it happen.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but the saxophone is right over.
I'm just
Look off camera. There's
So you
Some model state this fusion thing. That would be sick.
What about a blues jazz?
Maybe.
Yeah, too.
Do some,
psychedelic rock.
we'll do some bluegrass, bro.
Because they have sense.
No.
Money.
Progressive. More of like a.
Murphy whole side.
That would just be the Grateful Dead or like widespread music at that point. It'd just be like a stoner band. That doesn't really make sense. But they
I'd be
play
down.
music. Kind of cool.
He'd be down.
So a lot of different mixes in the group. I like it. So that's all I have for you guys. Do you guys want to plug anything? Anything y'all want to shout out? The whole platform is you guys.
Hopefully our social medias, yeah. So if you follow our Instagram at East of Eden Metal, there's a link in our bio to a link tree that has links to everything that we could possibly post. We've got a Facebook, a TikTok. We're working on a Twitter. We're working on Pornhub.
Like, we want to get Twitch.
Yeah, we do want to get Twitch started with
Yeah.
Superhero Joe appearing from time to time.
Yes.
I'm with it.
And we also have a lot of we have a lyric video that needs a lot more views because it's hard to get promotion out here. So yes, has a lyric video, and we have a live video that 901 Underground Productions did of us for our song "Nothing in the Night Times Abyss." So there's a lot of stuff for y'all to check out if y'all are
March
interested.
29. March 29.
Yep.
Growlers. That's 7 o'clock. Kamikaze Zombie. Kill Command East of Eden.
Let's
as
get
far
it.
as other else, I'd like to thank Ryan Olson for like helping us so much. Obviously on
I'd like to.
Dan
Absolutely.
and upper recording.
I'd like to shout out honestly Schroeder Conway for being a big inspiration to this band.
I'd like to also shout out to Ross Shackelford. I don't even know how to say it.
I love Ross.
Sell OC a beer from that house party. He won't mention that.
He owes me a beer, or I owe him a beer.
No, he says he still owes you a beer from that house party a few years ago.
I told him to not worry about that. I was like, dude, I'll buy you another beer. Shut up. I know it. He's a sweetheart. Well, thank you guys so much for being on this pod with me, man. I really appreciate y'all just taking the time after practice to just come kick it with me for about an hour. Thanks for being so fun and let me just annoy you guys and let me just kind of riff and fangirl over this. Make sure you guys listen to their EP, The Abyssal Gray. It's out on Spotify and everywhere you can listen to music, I believe. Check out all their socials and be on the lookout for more that they're doing. Thank you guys so much. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. See y'all later.